Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining. I hope everyone is well. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, we'll get started with our presentation. And thank you all for joining. Today is Thursday, January 26th. Welcome to our NJThrives Small Business webinars. These are our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business like you guys to start, grow, and thrive. Brought to you by, of course, America's Small Business Development Centers, New Jersey. We're supported by the SBA, Small Business Administration, the Rutgers University, NJBAC. If you can hear me properly, see me properly, please let me know by entering 1 in the chat. If you cannot, we have our wonderful team member, Gloria Mara, who will be helping us. So just let me know. We have a lot of people joining us today, and I can see those ones coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And do me a favor, since we can't have in-person, or we're not having in-person events, let us know in the chat where you're from, who you are. If you have a small business, share the email or phone number or your website, so all of you can network in the chat section. That's the best way to get to know each other. I will get started. So who are we? Who is the NJSBDC? Or before that, who I am, because your everyday host or weekly host, Christian Pichardo, is not here. So I'm your host, Uzma Sheikh, for the day. And who NJSBDC, what NJSBDC is. We are America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. We're the statewide program powered by the SBA, like I mentioned, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with 3 main things. No cost small business consulting. Again, I say that no cost small business consulting. Training and events starting at 0, just like this one, all over with our regional centers and our state office, and our exclusive small business resources. Before we get started with our presentation for today, we have a special guest today who is Donald Newman, Don, who's from NJBAC, New Jersey Small Business Action Center. Don, please go ahead and share your screen and let us know what this wonderful organization does.
Sure. You'll have to unshare yours. There you go. So my name is Don Newman. I am a small business advocate. I actually manage the small business advocacy unit within the Business Action Center. And who are we? Well, first thing I'm going to tell you is that you just heard that the SBDC provides no cost counseling services. How can they provide these services at no cost? Well, one of the ways they can do that is that they receive funding not only from the SBA and the others that were mentioned, but my office as well. So we're partners with the Small Business Development Center to make sure that you get the technical assistance that you need. But my office goes beyond just technical assistance. We are advocates for the state, for state business community, in that we can connect you to all the different resources that are available, whether they are the Economic Development Authority, some of the CDFIs, or if you're looking to get some information about what your responsibilities are as a business owner and as a employer, we can help you sort of navigate that environment. But I'm going to very quickly go over some different units within the Business Action Center. I'm a small business advocate. We also have business advocates who are project managers, so they could help you build a building or get through a DEP or a DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, or a Department of Transportation issue that your business might be having because you happen to be on a state highway, for example. So they work on those kinds of projects. We also have a planning advocacy unit, which is they work with your municipalities to help them planning, do their business, make sure that they're encouraging business development in their town in respect to infrastructure that's available, as well as being respectful of the environment and so on. We also have an export promotion team. We actually want to work with small businesses. Right now, we actually have a target for food and beverage manufacturers that want to become exporters. We can work with you, help you put together a plan, get your sort of your business ready to be an exporter, and then we can help send you to a trade show or to an event that involves international business. We'll pay for it. We'll pay to send you there. We'll pay to have your website changed so that you can attract more online overseas purchases. So or it doesn't have to be online either. If it's just a website you want to adjust so that it's more reflective of your international flavor of your business, we can help you do that too. So so that's our export promotion team. And then my team, like I said, we are the business advocates. I had I can help someone learn about the procurement system. If you want to get into government procurement, I can help you get the certifications as a woman, small business, minority-owned business, or veteran or service disabled veteran-owned business. We are soon going to be launching an LGBTQ registered business. So still working on the regulations for that. We are about to launch, and this is something the SBDC can't help you with. We're about to launch a cannabis academy for training for people that want to get into the cannabis industry, but targeted to the special designations, the diverse business owners, the micro business owners, legacy business owners, and the disadvantaged business owners. And I'm not going to waste your time defining all of those. If you're interested, you can reach out to us. But a big part of what we do is provide you with ways to contact us to ask a quick question. So I have on the screen, and my only slide for the day is my contact information for our department. 1-800-Jersey-7 is the telephone line, which is sort of the old-fashioned way of people contacting us now. The way that most people are contacting us now is by going to business.nj.gov, going to the live chat feature that's on that site, and asking their question directly to one of my staff. And they'll respond usually within 3 minutes. We are on that line answering your question. If your question involves taxes, we can also transfer you within that platform to a representative from the Division of Taxation or Employer Accounts over at the Department of Labor. Or we can send you to the EDA if it's an EDA question about one of their programs. So we're kind of breaking down the silos between different agencies, and we can always, we can find you some help and answer your questions on that line. I also, on this slide, is also the Business Action Center's website. That the business.nj.gov's website is a state business site that's run by the governor's innovation team. We have a lot of input into it, obviously, because we're on the live chat. The other one is our website. And the other feature that I want to mention at the business.nj.gov site is a navigator. We call it Navigator. They may rebrand it soon. But what it does is it asks you a series of questions. And based on those questions, it creates a roadmap for starting your business and all the things that you may need to know about running a business in New Jersey, like zoning ordinances and financial opportunities and getting your business properly registered, forming an LLC or a corporation, registering it for taxes, and so on. That's it. It's still in beta, but there are over 50 or so business industries that are represented on that site, and we're adding more every day. And I would recommend, even if you're in business already, going to that site, filling out the questionnaire, getting a roadmap, and then you would be able to see if there's anything you missed, anything you skipped that you might want to be aware of. We also can help you, respond to new regulations. Like, for example, there's a new insurance regulation that's going to require everyone has a commercial building to carry a level of liability insurance against injury or death happening at that site. So, and that's going to be enforced at the local level. But you do need to know, if you have a physical brick and mortar business, that you're going to have to add to your liability insurance to be in compliance with that law and the new minimum wage laws and so on. We always try to keep you informed on those as well. So that's really all I want to take the time to talk to you about, because I know you're here to hear the topic of the presentation, and that's not what I'm talking on. But here's my final message to you. If you have a vision of what you want to accomplish, or you have a strategy that you're trying to implement, or you have a challenge that you're facing, reach out to us. Let's see if we can provide you with resources that can help you navigate that, overcome those challenges, and give you the best shot of success that you so richly deserve. So that's my presentation. I'm going to jump off. I will be here for a few minutes if someone wants to ask me a question in the chat. But if you have any other kind of question, just reach out to me via the website. I'll be glad to answer them for you. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Don. We always appreciate you and NJBAC for, everything that you guys do for us and for the community, truly. So there you go, everyone. You have all the information there that Don just shared. We highly, highly encourage that you reach out to them for any of your needs. All right, so let's move on to our agenda. So what's the agenda for today? We have a couple of headlines. We have the webinar, and then we'll have the Q&A. So I'll just quickly go through our headlines. We do have a couple. So, all right. So the first headline that we have is from SBA.gov. It says the SBA Administrator Guzman, new census data shows record pace of small business applications has continued under Biden-Harris administration. This was a press release from a couple of days ago. And it's basically our small business administrator, Isabella Guzman, sharing the fact that the new census data has shown that the Biden-Harris small business boom continued in 2022, and it has reached a high of 10.5 million, the most in any 2 years in our nation's history. And it's good news for our economy with steady and stable growth, as well as unprecedented investments in infrastructure, manufacturing, R&D. So that's good news. For our second headline, the NJ Banker podcast series. So on the fourth Tuesday of every month, the NJ Bankers president and CEO Mike Afuso will be meeting with industry leaders to discuss current topics. And then if you're interested, please go listen to the podcast. They're also great support for us, the NJ Bankers Association. Our third headline is the CSIT, who is part of the NJEDA. They awarded $1.275 million to 17 New Jersey startups focused on supporting maternal and infant health. This was part of the program, Nurture NJ Strategic Plan, which was launched by Governor Phil Murphy and First Lady Tammy Murphy. So this was awarded in grants to 17 startups. And these are all the names. So, if you happen to be one of them, congratulations to all the award winners. Our fourth headline, NJEDA to host information session for next phase of the New Jersey Innovation Evergreen Fund. Unfortunately, the information session was this morning at 9:30 a.m. But we still want to share this link with you because the recorded session will be on this website. So if you're interested, please go ahead and watch that. It could, you could get some really great information from there. And the last but not least, NJEDA to host a webinar on phase 2 of the NJ Zero Emission Incentive Program. Don't worry, this did not pass. It will be held on February 2nd from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And it's basically providing details on the expanded New Jersey Zero Emission Program, which is the NJZIP, and how it impacts you, because phase 2 will be launching in the upcoming weeks. Now, all these headlines that I just shared, they will be available. The links will be available in the chat. So if you're interested and want to learn more, please go ahead to the chat section and click on any of the links. All right. And things to keep in mind, some housekeeping rules. So I see a lot of comments in the Q&A. If you see there's a hover bar, so that if you hover over the bottom section of the Zoom screen, there will be a bar if it's not permanently there. And there's a chat section and there's a Q&A. Highly recommend that you go to Q&A for any questions that you may come up with during the presentation, and just leave the chat for any comments that you may have for us or for the presenter, because they will get lost. Your questions will get lost, and we want to make sure that we address them at the end in our Q&A session. The slides that we go over today will be available if you complete this 3-minute survey. The link will be available in the chat again. You will get the webinar resources when you complete the survey. Excuse me. And last but not least, that's all from my end. We have our guest, our presenter, Ciara, who is our specialty consultant at the NJSBDC with how to use QuickBooks Online. And Ciara, please go ahead, share your screen, and we'll come back at about 12:50 or so, or whenever you finish for the Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Uzma. Thank
Of
you,
course.
everyone, for joining today. Just give me a brief second to share my screen. And all right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a lot of participants here, about 240 of you. We had over 500 people register for this webinar. I am so excited to be here with you to share this information. As Uzma said, I'm here to teach you guys a little bit of QuickBooks Online. Because of time, this will be a very general overview, but I will try my best to give you as much information as possible in this window of time. Like I mentioned, my name is Ciara Gutierrez. I am the owner of C2G LLC, and I'm also a specialty consultant for the NJSBDC. There are many consultants like myself who are here as a free resource to you, small business owners, entrepreneurs, looking for guidance in all topics related to operating your business, whether it be starting your accounting, marketing strategies, help with capital infusion. There is someone out there in your regional office who can be of service to you. It is my privilege to be a part of this team. I come from a small business background. I've been working with small businesses for over 15 years in a variety of industries. And I've been using QuickBooks Online and desktop for that amount of time. So I'm very well versed in how to navigate this software and how to tailor it to specific industries. So I've worked in hospitality, I've worked in legal, I've worked in the medical profession, I've worked in retail, I've worked with franchisees, I've worked in real estate. So I have been able to use this software all across those industries. And it is just a great tool to utilize from the very beginning of starting your business, whether you're in live or not. If you are investing in your business, whether it's buying courses or just getting started, start your accounting as soon as you begin. You will be so happy that you did. It's better to lay the foundation in the early stages than to be in full live production mode and having to figure out numbers when you're busy making the business grow. So I hope you take away a lot of valuable lessons from this webinar. I hope you learn key strategies in working with this software. And like I said, reach out to your regional offices. There will be an QR code, excuse me, either at the end of this presentation or somewhere in between to help you sign up and get that counseling, because it's going to make a world of a difference. I'm going to piggyback on what Don said. If you have a vision, if you have an idea that you want to bring to life, these organizations are here to be of service to you so that those ideas can come into fruition. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use the resources that are at your fingertips. These are federally and state-funded programs that are here to help you. When you grow, we all grow. So make sure you take advantage of that. All right, so what is QuickBooks? QuickBooks is an accounting software package developed and marketed by Intuit. First introduced in 1983, QuickBooks products are geared mainly towards small and medium-sized businesses. QuickBooks has a cloud-based platform called QuickBooks Online, as well as various desktop versions. So we're going to talk today about QuickBooks Online. It's a subscription service. The price varies depending on the features that you use. It is cloud-based so that you can access it from any device that has internet connection. We'll go into it a little more in detail on the various steps to set up your QuickBooks Online account, but very, very key to remember. Many of you may come off of this webinar and start the trial. They do offer a trial period. Please note, if you enter information in that trial version and do not continue with the subscription, the data is lost. So it's not that you're going to be able to use it, do all of your books for a certain amount of time and export and access. No, once that trial period is over, they do not allow you to see anything that you worked on. So please remember that. So here are some of the QuickBooks Online functions. We're going to go through the initial setup, which is super important. Getting things done. These are different tabs within the QuickBooks Online software. And you guys it will make more sense once we go into the demo portion of this. Business overview, banking, get paid and pay. This is where you would generate invoices and create expense logs or bills, depending on which version of QuickBooks you have. They have different terminology for each. Customers and leads. This is a great way to manage your customer list. Commerce, we won't go into that too much, but that is a feature. Payroll, if you want to run your own payroll, you can do it through an add-on service that QuickBooks offers. Bookkeeping capabilities. QuickBooks is designed to obviously maintain your books. Taxes, if you collect sales tax, this is also a great way to manage your liabilities or the amount you owe in sales tax through various states or your local state. And then there's apps or integrations that work with QuickBooks Online and sync, such as PayPal, Square, and there's a lot. There's many, many integrations. That's probably one of the highlights of QuickBooks Online is that they allow you to connect with so many apps. If you, for example, need to track mileage, they work with a mileage app. So all the information is kind of integrated and uploaded for you. So if you are, for example, a consultant, someone who works heavily on like an iPad or something of that nature, QuickBooks Online is definitely your go-to. All right, so the initial setup is the most crucial part of your QuickBooks Online subscription. They're going to ask you a variety of questions to make sure that your display, or better yet, your chart of accounts, which is basically all of the accounting systems within your business, are accurate. So for example, a trucking company will have a very different business model than a bakery, or, you know, a consultant may not need to use, they offer you 250 different folders, for lack of a better word. You may not need all of that. So that's why it's important that when you get to this screen, and this is a screen that you will receive once you sign up for your trial version or your subscription, is that you answer the questions thoroughly. You take your time and you make sure that you answer the questions as relevant to your business as possible. You want to make sure that you're set up for success from the beginning. So take the time to do this adequately, okay? So this is the first screen. It'll say, welcome, we're glad you're here. And they're going to ask you a few questions, like I mentioned. So the first search command, so to speak, or the first search bar is, what is your industry? They have pretty much every industry listed, but if it's not listed, for whatever reason, you have a very niche business, then I would suggest going to whatever is closest to it. For the most part, all industries have basic commonalities. There's operating expenses, there's travel expenses, there's meals. So all of that will be included across the board. But for businesses that, for example, need a little more information or a little more detailed or may not need all the details, it's important that you select the right one or whatever's closest to you. This is your formation information, right? Are you a sole proprietor? Are you a partnership? And if you're not sure, or you're in the stages where like you are just working on your own, you're doing odd jobs here and there, and you're in the process of formalizing your entity, you can always put, I'm not sure. This doesn't really affect anything at the moment, and you can always change it within your settings. So if you're not sure what this is, you can go ahead and put, I'm not sure. It's not going to stop the process at all. So as we said, or I had mentioned before, QuickBooks Online works with various integrations or apps. These are some of the most common ones. So for those out there that collect payment through PayPal or Square, this is a great way to get all that information loaded into QuickBooks. It is just a data connection. So it's not going to do the work for you. It's going to display it within a profile, and then you would have to then navigate and accept the transactions. That is a little more complicated than what we're going to go into in this webinar, but it is possible. And it's, as long as you know the process, then you'll be okay. Just because we've connected our banking or our apps, that doesn't mean that QuickBooks is just going to take all that information and, you know, do all the work for us. No, there are processes that we need to do in order to accept the data. Okay. And that's crucial, because what if you download the information twice? If that information auto imported, then your numbers would be bogus, because there's no audit or there's no control of the numbers that are being entered into the system. So that's a very important part of working with your QuickBooks Online. The next screen after you move from that one is, what are you using QuickBooks for, right? So these are all the options that they give you. You would select the ones that are best suited for why you're using QuickBooks. If you're using it to manage inventory, if you want to manage and pay bills, this is where it says get a business bank account. QuickBooks offers their own checking. As you will see when working within the software, they offer a lot of add-ons. So there is an opportunity for them to market their services in absolutely every window. So you do not have to get QuickBooks checking. You can have your established banking and connect that. So I also wanted to make sure you guys understand that none of the add-on services are mandatory. If you want to use their payroll service, you can. It would essentially be easier because the system will auto populate certain transactions, but you can use anyone. You can do payroll however you wish. And the same thing goes for the bank account. If you want to work with the QuickBooks bank account, you can. If you want to accept payments through QuickBooks, you absolutely can, but it's not mandatory. All right, so once you answer all those questions, you get in alignment with everything that you need. This is the dashboard. This is what your QuickBooks will look like. And as you can see, there's a bit of a roadmap that kind of explains the flow of the business depending on what business you are in. You can also use what looks like little widgets on the home screen as an easier way to navigate through QuickBooks. The tabs on the left or the list on the left that says Get Things Done, Business Overview, those are different sections within QuickBooks. And we're gonna visit each one just so that you guys can see what's in there and what we can do within the system. And there's also a part of reporting that's within QuickBooks. I know a lot of you want to utilize QuickBooks because of the advantages of reporting, your profit and loss statements. Balance sheet items are mostly controlled by your CPA. I always tell my business owners out there, if you are not well-versed in accounting, please do not touch the balance sheet. That is for a professional. If you have some accounting experience, or if you'd like to kind of experiment, I would not suggest it for many reasons. You can actually really mess up your books doing that. But as far as running your own profit and loss statements, if you're inputting the data correctly, right? Because garbage in, garbage out, if we're not utilizing the tools correctly, our numbers will be bogus. Then you'll be able to get all the financial data within any time you choose. So if you're updating the banking, you're updating your bills, you're reconciling your bank accounts at the end of the month, then you don't need your CPA to run a profit and loss statement. You can know how your how your business is operating week to week, month by month, quarter by quarter, from January to March. In July only, you will have that ability at your fingertips, which is so important. One, for tax purposes, you want to have the visibility of your sales. Two, for growth strategies. You may think that your business is doing exponentially well, but the numbers don't lie. And the numbers are real. So it's good to be very, very comfortable with understanding your financial statements. Also, it's a great way to know what needs to be tweaked. If you have set a budget, for example, of office supplies for $500 a month, and in July you spent $2,000, that's something that we need to take a look at. And the only way you're going to understand your figures is by running these reports. Like I said, once you understand how to navigate the system, running the reports is super, super easy as long as you're inputting the data, okay? All right, so we're gonna go into the demo now. And, all right. All right, so now we're in QuickBooks, right? And as I mentioned, there's this list of little tabs or sections in between QuickBooks. In the Get Things Done, it's kind of telling you where within the process or where within the month you are. So obviously this is a blank account. There is no information in here. So there's nothing that I would need to do as far as reconciling a bank account or getting ready for a month-end close. If I were to have information in here, then it would give me key tasks that will help me kind of stay on top of my finances. If there were transactions from the bank to accept, it would list it here. If there was a problem with a reconciliation, it would list it here. It's kind of like your own assistant within QuickBooks to kind of let you know what parts of QuickBooks need your attention right now, okay? Business overview, okay? So the business overview will tell you through these beautiful graphs and kind of snapshots of where you are within your business. So obviously, once your business has been growing for about a year or operating for a year, you can kind of see the ebbs and flows of money in and money out. So this is a great tool to use to kind of understand where your peak seasons and your slow seasons are. This will also help you kind of understand what products work best during what time. I always tell that to my business owners. Not every product is for every season. So if you're able to see it from a numbers standpoint, it will change your business exponentially, it takes a good year to kind of understand what your flow is. But even if you were to analyze a quarter, it can give you some good insight. Profit and loss. So this will give you a snapshot of where you are within the month. Obviously, this is if the information is being poured in. Expenses, obviously any money that has been spent. Bank accounts, if you have multiple bank accounts, if you have loans, if you have credit cards, you can link them all within the bank accounts section, which we will review. What else is down here? Invoices and sales. So if you are a consultant, for example, and you're sending a ton of invoices and you don't know how much you have sent within this particular time period. Right now it's saying last 365 days. So in the last year, it will give you how many invoices have you generated. If you want to see in the last 30 days, how many have you gotten paid for? Here's a nice little graph to see where your sales are. And taxable profits. So for those that are paying taxes on their income every quarter, or any of those that apply, this will show you. And it says here, maximize tax deductions. Intuit, or the owner of QuickBooks, is also the owner of TurboTax. So they also have tax filing products. So you will see that they offer you that as well if you want to file your taxes within their Intuit umbrella. They make it very easy for you to do that. Sales tax calculators if needed. And this is where you would find your reports as well. So reports, there's for my consultants out there, or any service-oriented business, landscapers, plumbers, anyone who's sending out invoices, you can see an accounts receivable aging summary. This will give you a list of invoices that are current, past due, 90 days, 60 days. So great collections tool. If you have someone in your office or yourself who needs to see who owes what, to make some phone calls or send some emails, you can do it that way. Balance sheet, again, we do not touch this. This is for our CPA, but it will help you see your balance sheet. Profit and loss statement. Again, this is what has your business made as far as income or revenue, and what has your business spent. So if in this week I made $100 in sales, but I spent $95, then I've only made a $5 profit. Okay, this will show you that in more detail and give you your bottom number. Okay, and then there's some more advanced reports at the bottom. But this, and you can tweak it. You can do it by detail, by customer, by percent of total income. There are so many reports within the system, but these are your three basic ones. There's also an accounts payable report. So if you're a business that has a lot of vendors, and you issue payments every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, and you just want to know what's out there and when it's due, you can utilize that as a tool as well to keep you on track and know who you need to pay. All right. Live bookkeeping. Again, QuickBooks is always trying to get you to use their services. They have bookkeepers that you can hire. I've had customers work with them. I haven't had the greatest feedback for many reasons. You kind of get what you pay for. So I would not steer away from getting an actual live person that can help you with your books if you need to. But if your budget does not allow for that for whatever reason, this is a good way to start. This is for simple businesses. I would not suggest this for complex businesses, no restaurants, no anything that is very transactional. You're going to get the most basic service and it's not going to serve you. It's really not. So I'm just letting you all know that there's a service that's out there and available through QuickBooks, but I wouldn't, I would steer away if possible. Okay, so get paid. Okay, get paid is the section where you would house your customers, and this would be your customer list. So let's go through a quick task of adding a customer, right? So you would see that green screen on the top that says add customer. Here you would add all your demographics, any client information. We are in an age where people are not checking their mail. Their email is the best way to connect with them. Please be sure, if anything else, to always receive the email for your customers for many reasons, for marketing, but more so when you send invoices through QuickBooks, it does allow you to see if that customer opened the invoice, but that's only if you email it. I think that's a key functionality because if Mary Jo, we sent her an email, we sent her her statement, an invoice from last week for $5,000, and she claims that she never saw it, we can see that Mary Jo opened it at the email she provided to us. So that is super important. I think it's a game changer. You can't really track, especially mail nowadays is really funny. People can claim they didn't get their mail. USPS isn't that great. You know, it's just the times that we're living in. So make sure you have email contact for your clients, okay? Once we enter all that information for the client, then we would hit save and it would show us a client here. If the client had any open balances, if, you know, anything, any customer information, it would kind of give you a snapshot here. Estimates. You can do estimates through QuickBooks as well. If you are a designer, if you are a contractor, if any of that, you can send it directly from QuickBooks, the estimate, and then easily convert that estimate into an invoice. So you don't have to enter the data twice. You create the estimate for customer 123, customer accepts it, we duplicate that into an invoice, easy peasy, okay? Invoices, this would list all the invoices for all of our customers. So if we had a ton of customers, all of the invoices would be listed here. As you can see, there's a status bar. It tells us when the invoices are due. And if we had any overdue ones, it would show us here. We can click on this bar and it would take us to that list of invoices that are overdue. So another crucial function for collections and making sure that we are getting paid timely, okay? Now, vendors. For those of you who work with vendors, if you're one of those clients that has been working heavily with Excel and your vendor list is on an Excel sheet, you can import your vendors. You can import all of that data into QuickBooks if you do not want to manually add it. You just have to make sure that all the key parts are included so that it imports correctly. So that process can save you time if you have a large list of vendors, but if the configuration of making sure it goes into QuickBooks correctly is going to be time consuming for you, then just do it manually. You know, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't make it more complicated for yourself. So that way you don't become frustrated, okay? And bills. This is where we would see all our bills due to all of our vendors, okay? It would give us a list of what's unpaid. If you have someone who's paying your bills, if you want to see what they paid this week, you can see it through this window right here. And it'll tell you, you know, whatever's been paid in set amount of time, okay? Customers and leads. This is a good way to take kind of like a CRM system, but very watered down. If you have leads and they haven't really fully turned into a customer, you can absolutely enter their data here. That's why they work closely with MailChimp so that they can export the data for your customers in here. It's just another feature, depending on the type of business that you have. It can probably help you with marketing, commerce. This is if you work with eBay, Amazon, Shopify, you can connect your sales channel and it'll import that data for you. Payroll. This is a service offered through QuickBooks. I always tell my clients, it's always best to work with a payroll company. There's many intricacies that come with working or processing payroll. And if you are not a payroll specialist, don't do it to yourself. There's tax compliance, there's liabilities to keep track of. It is a very unwanted problem if you do not know how to do it. So even if you find a very local, small payroll processing company or your CPA can do it for you, have someone take this off your hands. It's just better. If you are a consultant and you work with 2 people every quarter, yeah, absolutely, you can do it on your own. But if you're someone that has an actual staff of at least 3 people, I wouldn't do it. Workers' comp, they also have a workers' comp connection that calculates or quotes you based on what your payroll figures are, and that can vary depending on the business. That's also available to you. So they really designed this to be kind of a one-stop shop should you need it. Banking services. So as I had mentioned, they offer their own checking. So there's going to be this promotion here on that. If you're interested in learning about their rates, it definitely doesn't hurt you. But I strongly suggest to bank somewhere where you can speak with someone and establish those relationships. Capital, they offer lending. Again, I would definitely work with the resources that are more suited for small business owners and have your best interests at heart, such as the NJSBDC. We connect you with our partners to make sure that you're getting the most competitive and just the best advantages to grow your business. Not saying that their opportunities may not be good for you, but it's always better to work with an organization that really has your business in mind, not just making a sale. Manage connections. So as I mentioned, you can connect your bank accounts. So if you have multiple bank accounts over multiple banks and multiple credit cards over multiple institutions, you can connect them all. All you need obviously is the login information, connect them one by one, answer security questions. It can be a little bit tedious depending on the bank that you have, but you definitely want to do this because you want your data to be imported daily. You want to make sure your transactions are in there. If your transactions are not in there, you're going to have to manually add them. Key note. Please make sure you're connecting your business bank account, not your personal, okay? If you're operating as a business, you should have a business bank account. Please do not connect your personal bank account to this because it's going to be very difficult to differentiate between your personal information and the business. So if there's anything you take away from this webinar, please make sure you have a business bank account. You don't need an exponential amount of money to deposit into it. Most banks charge nominal fees a month, regardless of the balance that you hold. So please make sure the best thing you can do to organize your business is to have a business bank account, okay? And taxes. So they help you set up sales tax, and they also help you with 1099 filings. So for my businesses out there that work with a lot of subcontractors, you know that there's a 1099 deadline for next week. You don't have to look for a third party, and you don't need your CPA to file them on your behalf. You can do it through the QuickBooks system. They will electronically file it for you. There's a fee, of course, but it will automatically generate the information that is tied within your subscription. So that is also very, very important during tax season and to stay tax compliant. You want to make sure your data is up to date and that it's accurate. And here are more apps that work closely with QuickBooks, Bill.com, Fundbox, run by ADP, which is a very popular ADP platform for small businesses. Mileage, as I had mentioned, for my truckers out there that may be tracking mileage, that's a key function. They work with an app. And then insurance. So I know a lot of us, don't really know insurance brokers, don't even know where to start. How much do we need? And maybe because of time or just because of knowledge, we don't even know where to start. They also offer that as an add-on. So as you can see, there's just a ton of resources within this platform. QuickBooks is designed to be easy to use. Of course, everyone who is not familiar with accounting practices or bookkeeping practices needs training. But ultimately, you should be able to navigate through this system easily, seamlessly, once that training is complete. It is designed to be easy to use. It is designed to be accessible at any time. You can access QuickBooks from your phone, your iPad, your computer, QuickBooks Online, that is. If you do the desktop version, you cannot access it from anywhere. But if you need to upload a receipt, you can do it through your phone. It is just, if you need to create an invoice for a customer, you can do it right from your phone, and everything is logged and everything is done. There's no multiple steps. It's just efficient. That is the best way that I can describe it. It is just an efficient resource for all of you, no matter what industry you're in. This can totally be designed in a way that will be best suited for you. Your reporting can be designed in a way that's best suited for you. Utilize it. Trust me, you do not want to know where you stand the day your accountant is telling you you owe X amount in taxes. You do not want that conversation. All of my seasoned business owners know that. You know, it's better to lay the foundation, start your systems early, understand your figures first and foremost, understand where your business is. Money in the bank does not mean money in our pocket. Just because there's money floating in the bank account, unless we've already accounted for checks and payroll coming in next week, that's not free money. So utilizing tools such as QuickBooks Online to manage our cash flow, to understand the peaks and valleys of the way our sales work is just incredibly useful for your success. I am just really passionate about sharing this information with business owners because I understand that this can be scary for most of you. This can be uncharted territory, but it is totally doable. If you take the time, if you invest in learning this software, if you invest in understanding your financial statements, work with professionals that can help you and be a resource to you, you will succeed. If your operations are running in the most accurate and compliant way, you'll have more time to pursue the dreams that you want to pursue. To get a loan, you need to show financial statements. If you don't have that in a professional formatted way, you can't apply. So, you know, use this, utilize this, understand that this is so valuable to you and your growth. And like I said, there's counselors all across the state to help you and support you and guide you through the process. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can have someone like myself help you understand this. And yeah, I think we're ready for Q&A. I know it's a small amount of time. I wish I could tell you guys so much more, but this is just kind of giving you an overview of why this will be useful for you. Okay. Uzma, ready for Q&A?
Yep, we're ready. That was a lot. That was, I mean, I know you didn't even go into the details, but that was some loaded information, very useful information.
There's
Yeah,
just
next time.
there's so much to share, and it's hard because I know there's so many of you out there and the industries vary. So there's tools and tips and tricks that are more useful for one versus the other. But overall, I want you all to take away that this is just so important for your success. So I hope most of you got a lot of information. Yeah, let's see what the questions are.
Yeah. We have a lot of good questions coming in. So just before we get into that real quick, you know, if any of you guys want to jump off, I just want to reiterate from earlier and from our chats, this webinar is being recorded. It will be available in a couple of business days on our website. The link has been posted in our chat. It will be posted again. If you need to jump off again, it will be recorded and available. Just check on our website in a couple days. It will be there. Please, 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 if you want the slides, please complete this survey. Again, the link is in the chat. Will be shared again. And that's how you will get Ciara slides, Dawn slides, and anything else that's available. I do want to jump in the Q&A. We do have a lot, so let's try to go through most of them. So the first question that we have is from Anonymous, and they ask, would you recommend using QuickBooks if you have a subscription to an accounting firm for tax purposes?
Oh,
For
absolutely.
For context, I use, and I hope I'm saying it right, Mazuma for my business.
Okay. So the great thing about using QuickBooks Online is if your accountant has their own proprietary software, which is fine, you can always link them for view only, or if they want to work within your QuickBooks software, they can do that as well. So QuickBooks, I know a lot of clients that have QuickBooks solely for their own purposes to be able to see their numbers proactively. And at tax season, they share their reports with their accountant, and then their accountant takes that information and uses their own system. So absolutely, this is geared for you. This is so you can rely on your own information and not have to rely on a report at the end of the month from your accountant or a report every third quarter. This is to empower you so you can know your figures well ahead of time. So absolutely, if they use their own software, that's cool. You can invite them to be a user with viewing capacities, but you can manage your books however you choose.
Awesome. Irene asks, can you add an app for inventory? My most difficult part of income tax.
Absolutely. So there are integrations for inventory. Inventory is just, if I'm being honest, it's just very complicated. And excuse me, it is a laborious process, but you can absolutely integrate it. There's systems that work with barcodes and such. But as anything else, it's your utilization is key. So inventory management is first and foremost. If you don't have anyone managing your inventory that is also well-versed in integrating the information, then it doesn't really serve you. But there are other ways to adjust inventory every month through journal entries and such. So yes and no. It really depends on the volume of your inventory, but it is possible.
Got it. Anonymous asks, what if you have more than one business in different sectors? How would you best use QuickBooks?
Great. That's a great question. So I have a lot of multi-dimensional entrepreneurs, myself included. We have one account that houses our subscription, and within that account are different companies. So for example, it'll be business 123, and then that's my login, and then I'll see carpentry, cleaners, automotive. All of those will have their separate companies and their separate books. It does not integrate at all, meaning it's not going to show you all the figures for all the companies. Every company, it's its own. Think of it as a filing cabinet. Each company, it's their own filing cabinet. It's their own shelf or their own system, but it is possible. You can have one subscription for multiple companies and you can jump back and forth between companies.
Got it. We did have a lot of questions asking that, so hopefully that answers everybody's questions. There are also a couple of questions with just like, for example, Lisa asks, I have been in business for a couple of years. I want to add QuickBooks to start January of 2023. If I add my banking info, can I start with info beginning 2023?
Absolutely. You can retroactively add information. It's just a lot of work because most of the banks don't share or hold the data or the file that integrates into QuickBooks for many years. So if you're looking at 3, 4, 5 years ago, you might have to do manually importing the data, which can be cumbersome depending on the level of transactions. But if you've been in business for many years and you just want to start QuickBooks as of January 1st, absolutely. The only thing that would change is your CPA would have to create a journal entry based on the last year's figures to adequately account for any liabilities that are out there that have been paid, your equity within the company, any investments. So they would have to create one big entry, right, to notate all the activities or all the actions that have happened for the years prior. Okay, a CPA will do that, no problem. But if you don't have a CPA, then your numbers will be kind of bogus, because then it'll just show that your information or your business started January, and we know that's not true. So
Right.
that's just a note for all of you out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There were a couple of questions regarding that though, so hopefully, that was helpful. Couple of questions regarding QuickBooks Online and the software, the downloadable software.
Yep.
So, Dennis asks, is there much difference between QuickBooks Online and the downloadable software program?
Yes. So the downloadable one, I'm assuming they're asking about the one that's locally stored, the QuickBooks
Yeah.
desktop version. So the differences are cost. So it's cheaper to buy the QuickBooks software because it's a one-time cost and you can use that license for a long time. The subscription is a monthly subscription. It's a recurring cost. So from a yearly perspective, it's more expensive no matter what platform you utilize. So that is maybe a con to the ability or the cost of it. However, we are living in a technology-driven age. People want access to their information from anywhere. If you're traveling, if you're not on site, you want to be able to have that information at your fingertips. If you're locally storing or installing that software, you would need that computer with you at all times. So as long as that computer is with you at all times, then you're golden. But if it's not with you, you leave it at a restaurant, you leave it at home, then you're going to have to access that computer in order to see the data. So that's the downside of it. It really depends on the business model. Some people prefer to download it to a computer for security purposes. If they're the only ones that truly access the books, it really doesn't matter. But if you have a bookkeeper, if you have someone who's running your payroll, if you have someone who's your AR specialist, you can have multiple users that can have access and visibility to just certain sections of QuickBooks Online. You can do that with desktop too, but I just feel it's just more relevant to this time that we're living in.
Right. Completely. And so when you have it on desktop, let's say on one computer, you just have it on desktop, that
Yep.
can't be transferred to, like, if you just had it web-based, if you open that.
No, it's not cloud. So
It's
in
not
order
cloud.
you
Exactly.
you would have to remote into the server that houses the software or into the computer that houses the software.
Yeah.
So that just from a portability standpoint, it just, I feel is not feasible, but it really depends on the business that you're in.
Yeah.
That's definitely, a personal choice.
For sure. There are a couple of questions from people asking, and I think I can help answer this. There are a couple of questions where, are there any other trainings besides this? Or some people want in-depth training, some people want the training in Spanish. Some people want, like, is there, like, how can I do this specifically? Which, of course, we can't really cover everything in the intro session.
Right.
So I would definitely suggest everyone to go to NJSBDC.com. There will be an events section or like an events calendar or something. And keep in mind that, this is a webinar provided by the state office. We also have 10 plus other regional centers, and regional centers have started offering in-person trainings as well as webinars. So I've seen some trainings where, you can go to a center or, wherever they're hosting a in-person webinar. It might be hosted in a computer lab, and you can go through that training in person. Or, there might be a Spanish speaking training. So I definitely recommend checking out njsbdc.com in the events, because our regional centers might be offering that. And Ciara, do you know any other like organization or any free
I don't know. I know that we are working diligently on, creating more training workshops that are tailored for specific tasks. But it really what I want to say to all of you is that really is dependent on all of your participation. You know, the more of you that sign up to these offices requesting these services, the more readily available they will be to you guys. So these offices are willing to give you the support that you need, but you need to ask for it. So
Yeah.
if you want Spanish speaking, if you want in-depth workshops to learn more about managing your customers or managing your cash flow, you have to ask for it. Because it's definitely dependent on participation. Luckily, there's been a lot of interest in these classes, and we've been able to get a lot of information out this month, but it really takes participation on your part. Sign up to your regional office and they will connect you to a resource for sure.
Yeah, and if I can just do a quick plug here, the survey that we have, it is a survey for a reason. Not only can we gauge your response, you know, if we're doing good or not, but there is a section there that asks you for your suggestions and for your comments. So, you know, if we have enough people, even like 20, 30 people asking for a Spanish speaking session or more in-depth sessions, then we can definitely try to cover them because, you know, we do go over our comments and we do go over what people want to see. Getting back to some of these Q&A questions, I think we'll take a couple more. We don't want to go a lot, you know, over time. And Ciara, if you need to jump off, you know, totally understandable.
No,
But
I saw a question in the chat that I just want to address quickly. Can you
Sure.
use QuickBooks for invoices, even if the other company doesn't have QuickBooks? Absolutely. So you're generating the invoice through QuickBooks, but the person will get it in an email format as well as a link. So I didn't go into this in detail, but I love the fact that QuickBooks gives you the ability for most clients, because I had a client tell me that they didn't get accepted for payment processing. For example, my daughter's school uses QuickBooks for tuition bills. They send us the invoice, I open it up, I have my Apple Pay, I pay the invoice in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. They collect their money like that. So I think that's one of the greatest features. The person doesn't need to have QuickBooks. They don't need to download QuickBooks. It's just going to open up a window showing them what the invoice is and give them the option, if you set up for receiving payment, for them to use Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever, you know, format they have, which is so important. You want to get that money quick. You don't want to wait for someone to go home, write a check, mail it out, you know, all of the intricacies of, you know, running a business in this point in time. And you can also, if you don't use the QuickBooks payment processing, you can put all your payment details there. If you take Venmo, if you Zelle, whatever, you can put it there too. So yes, so good for sending out invoices. As long as you have an email address, doesn't matter what email they have.
yeah, that's so awesome. We have a question from Laura. Laura asks, I'm more accustomed to using QB desktop, but I'm helping a friend with their QBO accounting. Is there a way to set up other current assets / liabilities? I haven't been able to find that account type in QBO.
Yes, there is. You just have to probably create your own. I don't know if you've done that yet. There's a series of questions that they ask you if you want to add a new item in the chart of account, and it'll ask you what type of item it is. And you can name it, and then it'll properly place it within the balance sheet items. So yes, and if there isn't, or you can't see it because some subscriptions are limited, which is why it's important to understand why the pricing is where it is. Simple Start is very like minimal, right? It's for very small operations. It doesn't give you a lot of features versus a Pro has way more features, more user capabilities, etc. So when you're gauging what subscription you need, be sure that you're being honest and you're not just trying to cut costs, because you're going to end up upgrading anyway. So you don't need, unless you're a huge enterprise, you don't need a $200 a month subscription, but also don't go for the $15 a month one if your accounting is complex. You're doing a disservice to yourself. So, and if you cannot find a way to do it, their chat, their QuickBooks chat for like troubleshooting and stuff is pretty helpful. That is pretty good.
Yep. Would just like to add one, I guess, disclaimer. Ciara, I'm sure you would agree with me that a lot of the software or even recommendations that we have, so software including QuickBooks right now, but this applies to any and all webinars that we do. But if we're recommending something, if we're talking, that's from our own personal experience. You know, we don't get sponsored by QuickBooks. We don't get, you know, payment, or like we're not partnered up with them. So at the end of the day, if you're a small business owner, or if you just want to use this personally, whatever the case is, please do your own research and use it at your own discretion. We're here to help based and, you know, from our expert advice, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. Any decisions that you make as a small business owner, that's at your discretion.
For sure. Yeah, I can only give you guys my perspective based on my experience, but you still have to choose whatever is best for you. I always tell my small business owners, consult with your CPA. Your CPA will lead you in the right direction. They
Yeah.
are going to be the ones filing your taxes. So they're going to want to have the information displayed a certain way. A good CPA will provide you a chart of accounts so you don't have to guess. And they will love you for having your books organized. You will be their favorite client if you have all of this stuff done, because you've done all the groundwork. So again, and QuickBooks is just an example. Like Uzma said, there's many platforms out there. In my personal opinion, I feel it's the most user-friendly, but there are many, many accounting softwares out there. So yeah, just it's important that you guys do your own research.
Exactly. I think we'll end it here. We do have a lot more questions, and believe me, I want to cover them all. We just can't due to time constraints. We don't want to take up a lot of Ciara's time, a lot of our, you know, attendees' time. Again, this was recorded. This has been recorded. Please, please, please go to the website in a couple of days. It will all be there. Complete the survey, and you will find the slides. I just want to quickly share my screen again and
I'm going to hop off. I just want to
Sure.
say thank you again. All of you, thank you for joining. Keep participating, keep signing up, answer the survey. Let us help you in whatever way we can. Participate, participate, participate. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you all, and see you next time.
Thank you so much, Ciara. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
I'm not going to take up a lot of time. I know all of you would, you know, want to use up your lunchtime or anything. I just want to quickly point out this and just small business help. It will be available here. As you can see, Ciara has done, you know, other webinars and things like that. We've done our Q&A. I just want to point out that if you would like to request no cost counseling, please take out your phone, point your camera at this QR code, and it will lead you to our website where you can request no cost counseling. On February 2nd, we will have a webinar with Reina Valenzuela. She is also one of our senior consultant, and it is part of that webinar is part of our exporting series, and it's called Developing a Winning Export Plan for Small Businesses. Again, if you'd like to register, just scan the QR code. It will take you to the website. Just again, we are the NJSBDC. We've helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow. If you stuck by us all this time, we truly, truly would like to thank you for all. And if you'd like to be one of those 15,000 plus client, one of our small businesses, then again, please come get counseling from us. It's no cost, small business consulting, training and events like this one starting at $0, exclusive small business resources. We're funded in part by the SBA and partners like the NJBAC you heard from today. Thank you all so much for joining, and please join us at our next webinar. All right, you all have a wonderful day. Bye.